Let's talk defense and how we address the defense in this draft.
No huddle, Wilson end zone, caught, touchdown, Elijah Moore.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo, and today I wanted to go over the defensive side of the ball, specifically talking all positions in the defense and what I believe general manager, assistant general manager, head coach, and defensive coordinator Joe Douglas, Rex Hogan, Robert Saleh, and Jeff Ulbrich actually believe are the weaknesses in this defense and how we're going to go about the draft to address those things. Guys, this week is draft week. I'm super excited. It's Monday. We're 3 days away from the draft. So excited. We got so much content for the Jets draft coming up this week. Today we're talking defense. Tomorrow we're talking offense. And then Wednesday, the day before the draft, we're going to do my final ideal Jets mock draft. What I would like to see coming from General Manager Joe Douglas and our coaching staff and everything like that in the front office. What would be my ideal situation. Really excited. We're going to do recaps of the first the picks that we do in the first round on Thursday. We're going to be doing recaps of day 2 picks on Friday, and I'm going to be on the NFL Chaos with Jeremy show that Friday to recap days 1 and 2 of the draft with those guys over there. Super excited. On Saturday, we're going to recap day 3 of the draft. I won't do a video Sunday probably because that's my baby shower, and I'm really excited for all of that. Firstborn son coming on the way and everything. So let's hop right into the defense. Let's talk defense. Let's talk not what I think, but what I think Joe Douglas and the front office think about this defense. So let's start off talking about our defensive scheme and what we play a lot of in New York on the defensive side of the ball. So when we brought in Robert Saleh, we knew that we were going to play a 4-3 front and that front 7 with a cover 3 over the top, generally speaking. We're going to more than likely have a cover 3 system, and we're gonna either bring that strong safety in, to help with the to help with the rush, or bring in a slot corner instead of the other linebacker to really help with that. And so what tends to happen is we replace one of our linebackers with Michael Carter II in our slot corner spot, and then Jordan Whitehead comes down and plays in the box as a strong safety, and he plays like kind of as that third linebacker. And then we play a cover 3 over the top of that with the cornerbacks on the outside, and the free safety is the single high kind of safety there, right? Now, a lot of people have talked about with this New York Jets defensive scheme and what we do and all of this stuff with a lot of, the defense is bad, the defense is bad, the defense is bad, the defense is bad. And I'm not going to sit here and try to convince anybody that the defense was good last year, because it wasn't. But the one thing that I will say here is that we were also incredibly hurt last year. We had so many guys miss time last year that we were starting guys like Elijah Riley. Now, Elijah Riley looked great for us towards the end of the year, but Elijah Riley was like brought in off of the Philadelphia Eagles practice squad, and then he was starting for us immediately. We were decimated on that, on the defensive front. We didn't see a single snap, not a single snap from Carl Lawson. We didn't see a single snap from Vinny Curry at all. We forced ourselves to play Jonathan Franklin Myers on the outside, and he did really well on the outside, but I would prefer to see him on the inside. So it was really devastated team with injury on that side of the ball. So I don't think that we're going to see that happen again. So let's talk about each position group, and let's talk about what I think the Jets believe in this position group. So we're going to go back to front. So we're going to go safeties, corners, linebackers, defensive line, and then we'll end the video. So let's talk safeties. So for the Jets, I think the biggest thing that we saw this year, this offseason, in this free agency is we lost our safety in Marcus May to, New Orleans, which I don't think was that big of a deal, because I think that we brought in someone who I believe is a little bit better of a player in Jordan Whitehead. Now, Marcus May played more of a free safety, while Jordan Whitehead in Tampa played a little bit of everything over there. I think we're bringing in Jordan Whitehead to be a strong safety for this team, really have him play in the box, really have him help us cover, help in coverage and be part of the offense, the rush to get the offensive players down and in the backfield. I think Jordan Whitehead is being brought in because he's a sound tackler and honestly to help us prevent that screen game problem that we run into and stuff like that a little bit more there. And I think that's a pretty even trade there. And then the other thing that I think we need to take into consideration when we're looking at the safety room is there are a lot of people that think okay, our strong safety is good in Jordan Whitehead, but what are we going to do with our free safety? There's not a single person on this team that I believe in. And guys, I think that what the fans think of our safety room does not match up what our coaching staff thinks of our safety room. I think our coaching staff really, really likes Jason Pinnock. And I think we're going to see Jason Pinnock, Ashton Davis, LaMarcus Joyner, and Elijah Riley coming into this offseason. And I think we will draft a safety, and we'll talk about what the draft strategy is in a little bit. I think you're going to see these guys come in and really compete for a starting job. And I think that, honestly, Jason Pinnock, coming into year 2, really getting to play as a safety, because he was a cornerback converted to safety. So we were playing him there because we were devastated in that room with injury, but he was a corner at Pitt. And we played him at safety and he looked good. In my opinion, he looked pretty good. It's an interesting conversation to have, because I don't think anybody expected Pinnock to look as good as he did in the free safety room. And if he gets time to develop, sorry, I was looking at Twitter because I thought maybe the Debo trade happened. I think it looks really, really good. I think you add some depth there. And when you start targeting some guys in the later parts of the draft to come in and help that, or maybe we address safety early, that free safety spot early, in the second round with a player Jaquan Brisker, Nick Cross, Kirby Joseph, those kinds of guys who I think are the guys that we would really be in on. These are the coverage guys. I'm not a fan of Lewis Cine coming to the Jets, not because I don't like him as a player. I love Lewis Cine as a player, but that's because I think Lewis Cine and Jordan Whitehead play a very similar role in our defensive scheme. Now, if you're telling me that we can bring in Lewis Cine and he can take the strong safety and we bump Jordan Whitehead to free safety, if you feel comfortable with one of those two guys in coverage, I'd be okay with that. I just don't. I would much rather have a Jaquan Brisker, who's a really, really good safety, who has a pretty good coverage grade, who's not that bad when asked to do those things. Nick Cross out of Maryland is another guy that I like. Verone McKinley late is another guy that I'm a fan of, but there's a lot of guys that you can look at in the safety room that I look at it and I go, safety for me is not a really big position of need because we have so much depth now in this safety room that I think the coaching staff feels pretty comfortable with it. Now let's move on to the cornerback room. Guys, I don't think we're drafting a corner this year. I'm going to be straight up here. I think we brought in DJ Reed, who's a really, really high-end corner. Bryce Hall played really, really well last year. And I know that there was that rumor that came out that teams were throwing the ball at Bryce Hall because they knew an interception wasn't going to happen. Guys, that still didn't change the fact that Bryce Hall was still pretty good in coverage. Yeah, the interception numbers weren't there, but Bryce Hall is now also becoming our number 2 corner with the addition of DJ Reed. We also have to take into consideration that Brandon Echols looked good down the stretch and he was providing depth there. We've got really good slot corners in Michael Carter II and Javelin Guidry, who we brought back. And we've got the depth there. We can always bring Pinnock back down to play corner. I'm not saying that we're not going to draft a corner. We might draft a corner, but this conversation of us drafting a corner early, I just don't think is real. I think that we're going to do, we're at the beginning of the draft, we're going to address impact players that are going to come in and start for that defense. And then we're going to really use that late part of the draft, day 2 and day 3, to address depth positions on the offensive line. That's just me personally. That's what I think is going to happen. And yeah, so let's move on to the linebacker room. Now, this is a position that I absolutely think that we're going to be addressing this offseason in the draft. I think we take a linebacker either in the second or in the third round to come in and compete for a starting spot. Luckily, like I mentioned before, we do play a lot of nickel and dime coverages, so we do get that third corner instead of that third linebacker out there, which gives us more depth at the linebacker position. But CJ Mosley isn't going to be a Jet forever. Quincy Williams, while he's a great find, isn't a guy that I feel super comfortable with long term. We did bring in Marcel Harris, so I might be like shooting myself in the foot here, kind of saying like Marcel Harris might have a really, really good year. And we obviously missed a lot of time of Jamien Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin in this year because of injuries. So again, I think that this team really, really likes Quincy Williams, Marcel Harris, and Jamien Sherwood. I really think that this staff really believes in those guys and wants to see those guys succeed. But I also do think that we're going to be drafting a CJ Mosley replacement. For me, I look at players like your Chad Mumas in the third rounds. If Nakobe Dean falls to the top of the second, that's a person that I look at. Your Leo Chenals is another one of those guys that might be able to be brought in. He's going to definitely be able to help prevent the screen games and things like that, even though I look at Chanel was more as like a rush the passer kind of linebacker. Brian Asamoah is another good guy that's good in coverage. Troy Anderson, Christian Harris, Channing Tindall. A lot of guys that I feel comfortable with taking in that, second, third, maybe even in the fourth, that could, I think, become impact players and starters on this team long term. But I do think that linebacker, for me, the two positions that I look at that are absolute needs on this team are safety and linebacker. Those are the only positions that I look at on this defense that I think the team should address. And I don't want depth positions at those players. I'm looking at those places like I want starters. I don't want you drafting a safety unless you look at him as being better than Jason Pinnock, Ashton Davis, or LaMarcus Joyner. I don't want just another guy to come in for the rotation. I want a starter there. Same thing with linebacker. I want a guy that's taking it to CJ, not taking it to Quincy, not taking it to Sherwood. I want a guy who's coming in and competing with CJ for that starting job there. And so those are the only two positions on the defense that I look at that are actual needs of what we should address in this draft for starters. Now I'm going to caveat that because now we're going to move on to the defensive line. Guys, I don't think this defensive line is as desperate of need as everyone likes to think that it is. Let me start by saying at 4, I want an edge rusher. Give me Aiden Hutchinson. Give me Kayvon Thibodeau. Give me Jermaine Johnson. There's no way that all 3 of those guys are being taken before 4. I want one of those guys. Make that happen at pick 4. Make it happen. But it's not as big of a need as I think everybody says that it is. I think it's a need because Carl Lawson got hurt and Bryce Huff got hurt and Kyle Phillips got hurt and we didn't have the depth there and we weren't getting the production there. But if we add Carl Lawson, and my expectation and why I don't consider it a need is because I already have 4 penciled in. Not even penciled in. I already have 4 penned in as a edge rusher. Like, I look at those guys and I go, absolutely. Like, that's who we're taking is an edge rusher there. So it's kind of funny for me because, like I said, those are the guys that I already look at and I say, we're 100%, we're drafting that. But like, let me just read some of this depth when we look at the edge roll. We look at Carl Lawson coming off of one edge. We're going to look at, let's say, Kayvon Thibodeau coming off of the other edge. We've added Jacob Martin. We saw we're bringing back Vinny Curry, who's not going to be hurt. We have Bryce Huff. We have Kyle Phillips. We have Jabari Zuniga. And it's just like, yeah, those guys aren't elite guys towards the back half of it. But like, if you're telling me that we can have an edge rotation of Carl Lawson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Jacob Martin, who looked really good for the Texans last year. And then every once in a while, we bring in a Jonathan Franklin Myers or a Solomon Thomas in there to be that other edge piece. It gives us exactly the type of rotation that we want on the edge, and it gives us a lethal duo that on third downs, we need to go get the quarterback. It's 3rd and 10, it's 3rd and 15. We need a sack here. You put Carl Lawson and Kayvon Thibodeau, you tell them to pin their ears back, and then right up the middle, you go Quinnen Williams and Jonathan Franklin Myers. Man, that's a deadly quad going after the quarterback right there. And let's talk about the interior of the defensive line. Everyone's talking about, we need depth on the offensive interior of the line. I'm like, guys, Jonathan Franklin Myers had, in my opinion, one of his best seasons when he was partnered with Quinnen Williams. Like, in my opinion, Quinnen Williams and Jonathan Franklin Myers up the center is going to be great. We brought in Sheldon Rankins again, Nathan Shepard, Solomon Thomas. A lot of people don't remember, but we drafted Jonathan Marshall last year, as a developmental piece. We got to see what we get out of him. We've got depth on the interior of the line. Quinnen Williams, I think, didn't have a productive season last year because he was being double teamed. He was the only person outside of Jonathan Franklin Myers that you had to care about on that defensive line. I'm sorry. So if JFM was taking, that's my thing. Is like they were getting double teamed more often than not, and the other guys weren't getting home. And we know that this defense is predicated on getting home and getting to the quarterback with 4 guys and dropping everyone else into coverage. And so, guys, I don't think this defense is as far away as we think. Guys that I think that we're going to be targeting, the only position on the defense that I think that we're going to target early, and I mean early, is going to be edge. And I think we're looking at players like Kayvon Thibodeau, George Karlaftis, Jermaine Johnson. Those are the guys that I'm looking at us really targeting with that number 4 pick. That number 10 pick, if we keep that. I don't think we're going to have the 10 pick because I think we're going to trade it for Debo. But those are the guys that I think that we're going to be trading there. I don't think that we're going to be on any of the defensive interior guys. But late in the second round with 35 and 38, I would not be surprised if we spent one of those picks on a safety or a linebacker. I don't expect both of those picks to be on the defensive side of the ball because, like I said, I think we believe in those players that are on our team. And I think that we might look at players late in the, 5th and the 6th round, not the 6th round because we don't have a 6th round pick, but we might look at guys in the 5th round as some guys that we bring in for depth. So my eyes go to guys like in the 5th round, guys like the 4th and the 5th, guys like Matthew Butler, Damone Clark, Jojo Doman, Uwuzurike, Neil Farrell Jr. Those are the guys that we might be looking at to help the defense late, because I think we're going to spend a lot of capital this draft on offensive depth pieces, and we're really going to try to not touch the defense because I think that this staff believes in the defense and believes in the free agents that we brought in Jacob Martin, in Solomon Thomas, in Marcel Harris playing now a linebacker role here for this team, Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed. We brought in a lot of guys to play in this defense, and I think we're going to bring back Kyle Phillips as well. He's not on the team right now, but I think we're going to do that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that we have that depth on the defensive side of the ball? Do you agree with my assessment of what this staff believes? Let me know in the comment section below. Tomorrow we're going to do the offense. Really, really excited about that. My name is Talking Jets with Tigo. This has been Talking Jets with Tigo. And last but not least, go Jets.